Witam Państwa serdecznie ponownie. Naszym gościem obecnie jest pan Xavier Ortegat, który jest dyrektorem zarządzającym w CEPI. Chwilę porozmawiamy z panem Xavierem na temat deregulacji, jak CEPI i Unia Europejska widzi ten problem, który obecnie jest w Polsce i duża dyskusja i burza na ten temat się rozgorzała w internecie i na forum publicznym. Thank you, Xavier, for being with us. I introduced you to our audience. My first question is about the regulation status which CEPI is right now presenting. Yes, is CEPI for or against the regulation, and if against, then why? If you can explain us.
What we see, first of all, when you look at European countries, the EU countries, is that you have very different schemes. You have countries that regulate heavily the profession, and you have countries that do not regulate. And then you have now, with the crisis, countries that ask themselves, should we continue to regulate if we have countries like Poland, for example, where you have a regulation? So that's the first element. In that scheme, we would say, we think that some form of regulation is important for the real estate sector. Why? Because when you're a household and you try or you want to buy a house, this is not a decision that you take just like that and that you will repeat every 6 months. It's an important decision. So that means that you need to be accompanied by professionals, that you need to be well accompanied to make the good choice, the best possible choice. So that's one element. The second element is that real estate weighs on the economy. You cannot say, yes, the real estate is marginal. No, it represents between 20 and 30% of the added value of the value creation in the economy. Now, I say 20 to 30%, which means including the construction. Without the construction, just for the brokerage, the sales, the letting, and the management, it's 7 to 8%. So that's my second element. It's important. So our position is, yes, we need some form of regulation throughout Europe. So my last point is, if today Polish or Poland was to think of deregulating the sector, we would say, please be careful, be careful. If you go for more deregulation, make sure that you then have rules of the game at European level. Don't leave the sector just like that without any rules. We think this would be really damaging.
Yes, of course, and I agree with that. Because, for example, let's imagine, yes, if our government deregulates the profession, those professionals, the real estate and property managers, and for example, if we deregulate this, what should we consider? What steps we should consider to provide the high quality of service on this market? Because I know that, of course, you also mentioned that on your presentation that Belgium and UK deregulated the market. What we should consider to provide the high level of security and of the service, yes?
So high level of quality of service and of security of the professionals and of the consumers, certainly.
Yes.
And we think if you have to choose between lower prices, more competition and lower prices on the one hand, or quality service on the other hand, we say definitely choose for the quality of service in this case. So we think that that is important. How do we increase the quality of service? So that can be done through some form of regulation. We are never asking for heavy regulation, but some form of regulation. But that can be done also through self-regulating measures. What do we mean with that? Self-regulating measures could be codes of ethics, could be standardization exercises, could be training frameworks. There is now an interesting initiative from the European Commission in the frame of the revision of the directive on recognition of professional qualifications, saying, look, why would we not develop a European professional card? European professional card would facilitate a mobility between countries, whereby the member states would accompany and support their professionals who want to work in another country. This is perfect. And we could even think a little bit further and say, if we had a common training framework, which means a training framework that would be the same for professionals in different countries, then it would go much more automatically. If somebody wants to go in another country to establish even and to work abroad, that would facilitate, accelerate, and make it almost automatic. That would be an ideal situation. But we are not that far for the moment. And perhaps it's a pity, it's a challenge, because this internal market for goods is a reality. The internal or the single market for services is still on its way, and the sooner we get there, the better, I think.
You mentioned about the European professional card. You are working at the moment on this card. When it will be ready, or maybe it is already working somewhere as a pilot? Can you tell us something more about this card?
So this represents an initiative of the European Commission. And the European Commission invited some professional sectors, among which the European Council of Real Estate Professions, the CEPI, to participate in the exercise, to prepare a card and a format. So we did already 1 year ago, and we provided the results of this in Krakow, at the Forum of Krakow. That was in October of last year. So everything is ready. It's now sent to the European Parliament. It's sent to the European Council soon, where it is and will be discussed. So we very much hope that it will become reality, provided that all countries do not say we will deregulate, because a professional card is useful for those who go from one regulated country to another regulated country. That's the advantage. And we think a professional card may be useful for Polish professionals, even in the national local market, because it's not just a passport that you get, but it's also recognition of your qualification.
So it will be like a support for our professionalists, yes? Then they can work, first of all, in our country, and then they go somewhere in the EU and also provide service on for example, EU, somewhere on the EU market. Okay, so thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
And thank you for your perspective, for giving us EU perspective, CEPI perspective on the regulation. I think this information is very useful for our viewers and for all of us in Poland. Thank you one more time.
Thank you as well.
Thank you.